So guess what? I found this video of Trump saying that one side of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict doesn't want a deal. What side do you think that is? The answer just may surprise you. Or will it? Here we go.
It just never ends. But the key is a lasting peace. If we have a lasting peace, first thing you have to ask, do they both want to make it? I have a real question as to whether or not both sides wants to make it. I have a real question as to one side in particular, whether or not they want to make it. Well, I don't want to say that right now. I think one side actually would like a deal, and I think the other one maybe doesn't want a deal, to be honest. I don't want to say it. No. Look, we show our cards too much in the go. I wrote The Art of the Deal. We show our cards too much. So if I get into that, I don't want to say this and that, and then they'll come and they'll say, well, Trump is biased one way or the other. I think there's a chance that you could probably make a deal if you had a real deal maker, if you had somebody that knew what he or she was doing. In my opinion, if Israel wants to make a deal, I think a deal could be made. I think a lot is going to do with Israel, and look, it's going to have to do with both sides, but a lot will have to do with Israel and whether or not Israel wants to make the deal.
So why does Trump sound like the most reasonable candidate for president on this issue right now? I mean, it's a low bar, but he just vaunted over it by virtue of not saying the lockstep Zionist horseshit that even RFK Jr. says. So this is what I've been saying about Trump. His flex is to find a deal. It's like, let's find a deal. And he's saying one side doesn't want that deal. Which side do you think that is? Well, here he's going to reveal it here.
He wanted to make a deal more than Netanyahu. And I will be honest, I had a great meeting with him, Abbas, right? I had a great meeting with him. And we spent a lot of time together, talked about many things. And it was almost like a father. I mean, he was so nice. Couldn't have been nicer. And after meeting with Bibi for 3 minutes, I looked at him and said, you don't want to make a deal, do you? And he said, well, and the fact is, I don't think Bibi ever wanted to make a deal.
Why?
I thought the Palestinians were impossible, and the Israelis would do anything to make peace and a deal. I found that not to be true.
Whoa. Whoa. So I know Trump is rah-rah Israel on the campaign trail. I think it's to get all the money from Sheldon Adelson into his campaign coffers because it looked like he wants to make a deal. He had a father-son relationship with the PLO leader. He said he's the nicest guy in the world. After 3 minutes of talking with Bibi, he says, Bibi, you don't want a deal, do you? So this is a totally different story than I've ever heard before. And I want to know when that second part was recorded because that's so shockingly honest. I think it was leaked to make Trump look bad. Was that's probably, they thought it would do damage to him. No kidding. With his Jewish donors. And, you know, this also confirmed Trump is right about Bibi. Because, you know, here's who also confirmed that what Trump just said about Bibi is also correct. You know who confirmed it? Bibi Netanyahu himself confirmed it. When he openly said with his own mouth that we must support Hamas to prevent a two-state solution. He said that. Bibi doesn't want to make a deal. What Bibi wants is for the staff to dry clean about 8 giant suitcases full of his family's dirty laundry every time he visits the White House. By the way, that's true. Did you know that? That's how weird Benjamin Netanyahu is. He brings suitcases full of dirty laundry and has the people at the White House do his dirty laundry for him. That's not just a metaphor. This is literally what he and his wife are known for when they come to visit the Capitol. Give it a Google. So, I know it's tough to believe that Bibi Netanyahu, a guy named after the smallest caliber of ammunition, wants to continue a war. But he does. Because they don't want a deal. They've always wanted control of the West Bank and Gaza. They want the Palestinians out of there. They want them in Jordan. They want them in Egypt. They want them anywhere but where they are. So this is stunning. To me, it's stunning. Trump admitting that he talked to Benjamin Netanyahu, and after 3 minutes, he says, "You don't want a deal, do you?" And Netanyahu said, Is that not stunning to you, Steph?
It's remarkable.
It's remarkable. How about you? What's your name?
Misha.
Misha? Misha says yes, in a very soft voice so it won't be picked up by the microphone. Nobody knows.
I mean, it is shocking because, yes, they do think that this would be bad for Trump. But I think this is
I think that got leaked
for us to hear.
I think that got leaked because whoever leaked that part thought it would be. Here, let me play it again. Not the first.
It just never ends.
So the first part, he says, "I'm ready to make a deal, but one side's got to. Israel's got to want a deal."
I have a real question as to one side in particular, whether or not they want to make it. Well, I don't want to say that right now. I think one side actually would like a deal, and I think the other one maybe doesn't want a deal, to be honest. I don't want to say, no, look, we show our cards too much in the deal. I wrote the order of the deal. We show our cards too much. So if I get into that, I don't want to say this and that, and then they'll come and they'll say, well, Trump is biased one way or the other. I think there's a chance that you could probably make a deal if you had a real deal. If you had somebody that knew what he or she was doing. In my opinion, if Israel wants to make a deal,
if Israel wants to make a deal, there'll be a deal.
Is going to do with Israel.
So he doesn't say if Palestinians want to make a deal.
But a lot will have to do with Israel and whether or not Israel wants to make the deal.
I thought he wanted to make a deal more than Netanyahu.
So he's talking about Abbas. He said, I think he wanted to make a deal more than Netanyahu. So this part was obviously it seems to me it was serendipitously or secretively recorded. And then they leaked it to try to hurt Trump, to do damage on him. Let's listen to it again.
And I will be honest, I had a great meeting with him, Abbas, right? I had a great meeting with him, and we spent a lot of time together, talked about many things, and it was almost like a father. I mean, he was so nice. Couldn't have been nicer. And after meeting with Bibi for 3 minutes, I looked at him and said, you don't want to make a deal, do you? And he said, well, and the fact is, I don't think Bibi ever wanted to make a deal.
Why?
I thought the Palestinians were impossible, that the Israelis would do anything to make peace and a deal. I found that not to be true.
So I would love to know where that recording's from. Did he know he was being recorded when he said that? I don't know. It seems contrary to every other thing he said publicly. So Jake Shields says Trump posted a letter he received from the Palestinian president before his meeting with Netanyahu. So Trump's supposed to meet with Netanyahu, I believe, on Friday. And you want to see what he released? So Jake Shields, who's a MAGA guy, who's also pro-Palestinian, and he says he constantly says he will do anything for Israel, but this definitely comes across as an FU. So you want to see what the FU? He says, looking forward to seeing Bibi Netanyahu on Friday, and even more forward to achieving peace in the Middle East. So Trump wants peace. You know Netanyahu doesn't. They want to wipe out the Palestinians and take over the West Bank and Gaza. And so this is a letter. And here's how Trump, Mahmoud, so nice. Thank you. Everything will be good. So this is a letter Your Excellency is a great concern that I've received news. Later watched footage of your attempt. So this is a letter he got from the head of the PLO. And he releases it at the same side saying, looking forward to talking with Bibi. So it sounds to me like Donald Trump saying, hey, guess what? We're going to get a peace deal, you homicidal maniac. That's what it seems like. And of course, Donald Trump is a big salesman and he knows how to influence the media cycle. And it seems like all that stuff he's been saying, which is ultra pro-Israeli, was one, to get donations, and two, so then he could go in and make a deal. Because if you go in, if you're saying all these things that are pro-Palestinian, and then you make a deal that's somehow fair to the Palestinians, people will say, oh, you're a Palestinian lover. So he's going, to me, this is what it seems like to me. He's going over the top in his rhetoric, but he really wants to make a deal. What the hell do you call this? Sounds to me, that sounds like Trump wants to make a deal. Sounds like Trump wants to end this war. Biden has no interest in ending it. He doesn't care. This is what it seems like. And it seems like he's putting pressure on Bibi. Bibi's very unpopular in Israel, by the way. Don't forget that. They almost kicked him out of office before. It was like he needed this war to hang on to power. Looking forward to seeing you, Bibi. And even more forward to achieving peace in the Middle East. Okay, guess what else happened? So, Benjamin Netanyahu, I think he already gave his speech to the Congress as of this taping. And he was staying at the Watergate Hotel. This is according to X, which is Twitter. Pro-Palestine protesters caused disturbances at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C., where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was staying ahead of his address to Congress. The protesters released maggots, crickets, and mealworms in the hotel, specifically targeting Netanyahu's table and other areas frequented by the Israeli delegation. Additionally, they set off fire alarms during the night to disrupt Netanyahu's sleep. The actions were part of a protest against Netanyahu's policies and the Israeli government's actions in the Israeli-Palestine conflict. That seems pretty effective. You want to see what it looks like? So, here's what it looks like. Let me go one more. Why fucking... No, that's the wrong one. Let's go this one. Ugh. So there, watch this. There it is. There it is. So that's at the Watergate Hotel where he was staying. I've stayed at that hotel. Nice hotel. So a representative for Netanyahu stated that they're going to follow ancient Jewish tradition and order out Chinese. Come on. Am I right? Come on. Huh? Was Bill Gates doing the catering on behalf of the WEF? You will all eat bugs. That's what it looks like. Isn't it amazing how people could get past security when they want to? Isn't that amazing? Maybe they said they were catering for the reptilians. So guess what else they did? A huge picture was projected onto the windows of the hotel Netanyahu was staying at in Washington, D.C. and captioned, "Arrest Netanyahu." See, do you see that?
Yeah, that's great.
There it is. They're making as much noise as they can make. So what they're trying to do is make it so that no other hotel wants to host Benjamin Netanyahu. I wonder if it works, but that's what that's all about. They're trying to make it so nobody else wants to. No other hotel will host Benjamin Netanyahu. Sorry, dude, you're gonna have to crash at someone else's house. Sorry, my bedroom. We're using it for storage. Benjamin Netanyahu was last seen disguised in dreadlocks trying to check into a youth hostel. Come on. So that's what they're doing to Bibi's on his visit. So at least somebody made him feel a little bit of misery. That's nice, right?
Yes.
You know who didn't? Hey, do you know who didn't attend Benjamin Netanyahu's speech today? Thomas Massie. I like this guy, Thomas Massie. I don't have to agree with everything he says, but I respect him. So I feel about Thomas Massie the way a lot of our conservative viewers feel about me. Like, I don't have to agree with Jimmy, but I respect him, and I know he's telling the truth. That's how I feel about Thomas Massie. He tweeted this out. He says, today, Congress will undertake political theater on behalf of the State Department. The purpose of having Netanyahu address Congress is to bolster his political standing in Israel and to quell international opposition to his war. I don't feel like being a prop, so I won't be attending. 52,000 likes, almost 2 million views as of this airing. It was 7 hours. Wow. So he doesn't want to be stained by the association. Isn't that something? That's a big move. Good for Thomas Massie. Guess how they tried to smear him? Here's AIPAC trying to smear him.
Go figure.
AIPAC says, once again, Representative Thomas Massie is standing with AOC and Bernie Sanders against our ally, Israel. Wow. So he comes back with, you call me anything you want. I won't be attending your war rally. Good for you. And look at this AIPAC tweet got totally ratioed. And so did Massie ratio the shit out of him. AIPAC very unpopular in the United States, except with politicians. I can only find this one who's going to stand up to them. Wow. Good for you, Thomas Massie. Come right, Clive. You can call me anything you want. Thomas Massie would rather be tainted by his association with Bernie Sanders and AOC than with AIPAC. Think about that. They should just call it War Pack, AIPAC. Annie Weber tries to also shame Thomas Massie and says, it's part of your job. He's a foreign leader with a shared interest in the Middle East. Like it or not, attend, then voice your thoughts and opinions, to which you also have a right. Sorry, Annie. Looks like your little control trip isn't going to work anymore because Thomas Massie says being a prop for the State Department to perpetrate war in the Middle East is decidedly not in the job description the founders laid out for me.
Nice.
So, sorry, Annie, didn't work. Your little control trip didn't work. So now it's back to dressing up your pets in human clothing for photographs. And by the way, Thomas Massie going against AIPAC. You know, when you do that, you're saying goodbye to any hope of a 3-picture deal in Hollywood. You'll be lucky to get a Netflix special. You know, when I tweet out that Zionism is equal to Nazism, I know I'm signing my death warrant with Hollywood. I know that. There's no way anybody in Hollywood could be associated with me after that. It would look bad. It would look almost as bad, and probably worse, than what Jack Black's partner said about Trump's assassination. That's probably worse for you in Hollywood, for sure. Okay. Over to Steph.
All right. So what we're going to do right now, folks, are you ready to rumble? Because that's what we're going to do. Get ready. I've already refreshed. We're great. I'm gonna disagree with 7 segments with Caleb. Caleb is 1 segment. Oh, okay.
What?
They felt that there was a lot going on there.
What were the segments?
Segment about her. This.
So how many is that? Okay, I'll give it to you.
All right. We're on. So are you on board for switching over to Rumble? You feel good about that?
Sure.
All right, folks. We are going to Rumble.
And if Rumble gets glitchy, we'll be back.
If Rumble gets glitchy, we're going to come back if that is a problem. So just stay tuned, and I'm going to go and try to listen for that 48-minute mark for Jimmy Dore.
Oh, you know
All
what?
right.
Let me do one more segment.
You're going to do one more segment?
As long as I've got you here.
Okay, as long as he... well, I'll wait until he's ready. We're going to do one more segment as you get ready to go over to Rumble.
So... Oh, Biden's giving a speech. So I bet he's...
we have 15 minutes,
I bet he's
Jimmy.
resigning.
So we're going to need at least a couple minutes just to make sure we have it. Back to Jimmy.
If you're wondering what's going on with Ukraine right now, follow along with me for a minute. Karl Marx created the foundation of what is happening in Ukraine today. His real name was Karl Heinrich Mordecai Marx. The father of Karl Marx was Herschel Mordecai, who was the son of Rabbi Mordecai Marx Levi, who was the son of Samuel ben Mordecai Ha Levi, who was the son of Laius ben Mordecai, who in the 1400s, Laius Mordecai changed his name from Mordecai to Schwab. So the Schwab bloodline today is the bloodline of Karl Marx. But wait, there's more. Laius ben Mordecai Schwab was the son of Samuel Leopold Schwab II, who had changed his name from Guntberger to Schwab in the 1500s. And he was the son of Samuel Guntberger, who had changed his name from Bauer to Guntberger. And the Bauer bloodline was originally named the Bacharachs during the time of Christ. The Bacharachs in 1501 changed their name to Bauer, and then 76 years later, in 1577, they changed their name to Rothschild. So they're all related. Guys, have to go check out this video of Bishop Larry Gators talking about Russia, Ukraine, the CIA, and the Rothschild conspiracy to take out Vladimir Putin. It is absolutely just...
Well, let me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all All day long I diddle little bums. If I were a schmooly man, I'd peddle all my dildos. Dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish schmooly man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, you know, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, you know, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators, and they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, you know, what we need, what needs to be done. And, you know, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, you know, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, you know, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, you know, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, you know, this system and those backing the officials running the system, you know, want people to believe that revolution means violence, you know, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. You know, when people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. You know, they get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just MOVE babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, by drug pushers. I mean, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, making a quick buck, I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. How long are people going to sit back and beg, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years, all you've gotten is a slap in the face. All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit